Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, germs and viri of all types and sizes, this is I, your big wolf god Lobo. Now, I recorded this video a couple times. 2 or 3 times because it was too long, and then the fourth one because I was just entirely too angry in it because I found yet another video that was basically the same thing this guy said yesterday. Although I do agree with some of the things he says. The fact that he put another one that essentially says the same thing in 24 hours is just kind of pointless to me. But now I agree with some of what he says. But the whole thing is that just as people feel that Nexon isn't listening and that this is going to go away, the Helldivers is. There is a difference here. No, Sony didn't listen, but Arrowhead couldn't find its ass with both hands in a fucking GPS. They tried and failed. They failed on multiple levels because they kept on releasing patches to fix bugs that created yet more bugs, or they released new content which created more bugs. Just boom, 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 constant new stuff. And it caused more problems than it solved. When they should have taken the slow road to begin with, instead of hammering shit out. Helldivers was a game I enjoyed the hell out of. But about 2 months ago, I deleted it from my drive because I was fed up with the bullshit. What bullshit, you might ask? This is the guy whose video I'm talking about. Damn, why is that so small? Simonb. Oh, it's set for 1440p, that's why. Where was I? Oh yeah, where was I? And then Sony, of course, royally fucked the dog with the requirement to sign up for a PSN account. An account that damn near 90% of the player base did not need. Because anywhere between 80 and 85% of the player base was PC players. Just want to point out that little thing. The other 15 to 20% were PS5 players. And then the community went vicious on the console side. They said, oh, poor PC players with the $3,000 and $4,000 PCs have to sign up for a free account to play a game on a console we only paid $500 for. Not a good attitude to take with the majority of your fellow players, by the way. Add in Sony's attitude of, that's right, you little bitch, you sign up for this account because we fucking told you to, even though it's for a console you don't own and never will. And a lot of us don't own the consoles. I stopped playing the console game a long time ago. Boys and girls, I'm fucking 51. I stopped playing the console game 30 years ago. After the PS2 came out. Because I got tired of having to choose whether I was... Because even after one iteration of it, I got tired of having to choose. And I got tired of having to constantly upgrade so Sony could make more money by charging me more for a better looking game on a brand new console. Yeah, no, fuck you. Feel the same way about Microsoft, but the only difference is Microsoft releases it to PC and Xbox at the same time when they have exclusives. I hate exclusives, by the way, which is one of the things I like about this game, First Descendant. It is fully crossplay from launch. That was, in part, at least, one of these, actually in full, what one of these betas was about. The beta they did earlier this year that was 24 hours was to test the cross compatibility and find any issues in the servers with the cross compatibility, cross playability. First game to have done that in a while. That's been this hyped up. They couldn't even be bothered to do it with fucking Helldivers because Sony owned it, and Sony wanted its pound of flesh. But I digress. So that happened. And then suddenly, between the toxicity of the console side of the player base hitting on the PC players, were complaining about it, and countries blocking the PSN network and Steam, although somewhere around 160 and 170 had already done it before launch of the game, which is something that gets glossed over and had been that way for a long while. Other countries during the middle of that fucking brouhaha did the same. Korea, for instance. Korea blocked them because, according to the Korean government, well, we just want to promote our Korean developers to our Korean gamers. Or as one Korean gamer I saw on Reddit somewhere said, yeah, they want to force us to play these shit gacha games and leave us no other choice. Think about that one for a minute. Now back to First Descendant. One of the things that's annoyed me about the player base, some of them, from the get-go, from the very first beta. Now, I love this game. It has issues, I will freely admit, and I will go over them. But one of the things that's annoyed me was, like, even during the betas, well, it's too fast to finish, when all you had access to was Kingston and fucking Sterile Lands. And I think, and I want to say Echo. I could be wrong. Or maybe it was Vespa. But that was all you had access to. Actually, in the first beta, they gave you access to Vesper, just in the first one, because I remember playing Vesper in the first beta. I do not remember Echo Swamp, and I remember the Agni Desert. Or Agni Desert. But, the complaint was, well, they only gave you 2 lands to play, so whining about fucking endgame at the time was stupid. And and this gentleman here, Simon, saying the endgame sucks because, what's the point? All you're doing is run around to grind out for an amorphous material that may or may not drop in the hopes of getting a part from it that may or may not happen because the percentages suck the sweat off a donkey's ball sack. Not the way he puts it, but I'm going to put it that way because on that one I happen to agree with it. They need to buff the drop rates. You know what I think Nexon should do on the drop rates? Make them an even 30% across the board. Because, yes, it does annoy me. This 3%, 6% shit needs to go. And I hope somebody at Nexon hears this and actually listens. I doubt it, but it's possible. I mean, they have listened about other things. Like, they listened about the, as you see on your screen from the video I'm watching, they have listened. They've increased the module storage for the modules. They have reduced the cooldown for the Vulgus strategic outposts. They've adjusted respawn times and rewards, and void fragments are now available in special ops. Now, these were all complaints that were made. And yet somehow people think that Nexon is not actually listening. And Simon seems to be one of them. He says they need to listen to the player base, and he's ignoring it seems to be, to my mind, ignoring that they actually have, at least in part. Whether they'll listen to the rest of it, I don't know. But they have listened. I mean, I did the Vulgus strategic outpost, the one right before you enter the final run in Fortress. I ran that one 4 times in about 3 minutes. Because the cooldown time is only 30 seconds now. So they did listen. The mark for arrest thing grants 10k gold. Actually, I think it always has. I don't know what the thing with that is. Because I've gotten those, I just haven't done anything with them. Because I think they're still in my consumable somewhere. I could be wrong. So the developers are listening. You finish the game in normal mode, the story, and then you grind in hard mode for better stuff. Stuff that when they actually do get around to when they get around to, I'll say if and when, because they could be right about Nexon. I don't know. I don't know that they are, because they seem to be listening this time on this one. Because the way the game ends, spoiler alert, we defeat Karel, but they leave it wide open for him to fucking return. And honestly, I think he pissed off Amon when he tried to choke him out. So I think Amon was behind half of the problems Karel had in our ability to beat the shit out of him, at least in part. I think when Karel went to choke him out for trying to caution him about moving forward too fast, Amon finally said, "You know what? Fuck you." For which, if it turns out to be the case in later storyline, I would not be fucking surprised at all. Because I'd have cheerfully shoved the iron heart up Karel's ass. But that's just me. I digress. So saying they aren't listening to the player base is disingenuous. Saying they need to listen to but what he's saying is they need to listen to the player base on the rest of it, which is true. One of the other things that needs to be fixed, and it's something he brings up, is the constant grind. It pertains to the constant grind. And also something he's brought up is the sheer amount of videos for ultimate builds for this weapon, or various ultimate builds for the various descendants. You can only do so many of those, folks, and it gets repetitive, boring, and bullshit. I've seen so many. I mean, when I open up YouTube on my fucking Kindle and click home, it is nothing but First Descendant Ultimate builds or videos like this. Now he's saying so one of the other things is that Simon would probably agree needs to be fixed. When you want to assign a module to a specific type of socket to a specific type of module, so that it only has half the cost, so you can make these ultimate weapon builds and ultimate descendant builds, you have to be max level at 40 or max proficiency at 40 for the weapon. And then you have to grind all the way back up to level 40 again, so you can do it again over and over. That's 320 levels of grinding per descendant, by the way. And I want to say about once you get past a certain mastery level, it's I want to say 400 and some odd for the weapons. And that's per weapon and per descendant. That shit gets old. I do not think, and I hate the fact not only that it resets it, but you have to grind all the way back up to max level. I think once you have gotten the first one, once you have your second, in other words, once you have your first one maxed out, any descendant after that, the worst you have to do is grind 20 levels. Because you can do 20 levels in half an hour. Running the resource mission in Kingston. Or any other of the other fucking resource defense missions. You can grind 20 levels in really short order. But realistically, I'd like to take that mechanic out. I think it should be, once you hit level 40, is when you can start messing with the modules. And then you put a timer on the modules, so that you can do one module socket per descendant and per weapon a day with a 24 to 36 hour timer. Well, every day, day and a half with a 36 hour timer. It should not reset anything at all. Just put a timer on them. Because having to regrind them is bullshit. Something I'm fairly certain Simon agrees with me on, if he sees this video. That is a fix that needs to be made. Now, they talk about, one of the things he brought up in his last video was storage. Now, they fixed it for modules. And really, for weapons, it's not that bad. Because once you find your favorite weapons and save them with the heart thing, where you can't junk them, all you got to do is every time is, after every mission, is go through and junk everything, which is the best way to get materials for research for certain things. My meatloaf's getting cold. Good meatloaf, though. Now, reactors is a problem. I think they need to expand. I think they need to expand the storage for the reactors, the weapons, and the external components, simply because of the reactors and the external components. Because once you get past the main storyline in normal mode and start grinding in hard, which is the only way to get consistent, which is the only way to get level 100 weapons and reactors and external component sets, those take up space. I mean, you essentially, it's nuts. So yeah, I can see needing to also expand that. They need to do that. Nexon needs to do that as well. But I think for some people, this I need more stuff now suffer from a deep and burning desire for empty instant gratification. Or as I call it, Veruca Salt Syndrome. If you have not seen Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory or the 2000 some odd remake with Johnny Depp, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Veruca Salt is a spoiled little rich bitch. And I mean spoiled. Her daddy denies her nothing. And I think that's what, in a sense, some people, some gamers suffer. Some people in wanting more now. We want more content. Okay, you're going to get... We're supposedly going to get... we're getting a new Descendant next month. That's not really content. That's just another grind. And honestly, I don't know where they're going to go with Luna, but we'll see. And presumably, we're going to get more Ultimates. Again, that's just another grind. But it is something. And we're supposedly, with the actual season that's coming, going to get actual content. So, we'll see. All I can do is counsel patience. Stop giving in to the Veruca Salt Syndrome. I need it fucking now. Because let's give them the benefit of the doubt for right this second, okay? Next time. Let's say they haven't said anything, but they are working on new content storyline-wise. Or new mission types. I'd prefer a new storyline. That takes time. And as I said already, the way they ended this, it is wide open for more story. This is not the end of it. Because we still have to get more Ironheart. There's still at least one more Ironheart to get out of Corell's dirty little hands. Plus the one in us. Oh, sorry. That one required a spoiler alert. My bad. So, patience. Give them time. Rome wasn't built in a day, and it takes time to create content. This is not the days of Unreal Tournament online, where the devs let the player base have the tools for an FPS, Battle Royale basically, and create their own maps. Nexon is not going to do that. I don't think they have any intention of adding a PvP to this, which to me is what some of this sounds like. People want a PvP. You're not gonna get it, I don't think. Now, I think it was Simon I was watching in the last day or so that said something about give us leaderboards. Highest gold count, highest Kuiper count, most kills, that kind of thing. Most runs through the various resource defense missions or the strategic missions. And then maybe for the highest, and those with the top numbers get some special, unique thing only for them. Like, maybe they can go into the shop. You know, they get a message. They get a message from the devs, and the devs tell them, okay, you can pick any two components for any ultimate descendant you want, but it has to be two components from the same ultimate. In other words, you can't pick the stabilizer from Ultimate Lepic and then the Synctium blueprint for Ajax or VS or something like that. It has to be two for one character, and then you only have to then it's only half the grind. Because if you're grinding out the quote unquote current endgame stuff, that's probably what you're grinding for is ultimates. Or lots and lots of catalysts, as Simon B himself has said, lots and lots of catalyst stuff, so you can assign module sockets. Because, as he said before, that is something that, I think a lot of people miss in watching these ultimate build videos for either a weapon or a descendant. I think some people, or not a lot, I think at least some, are missing that you have to assign sockets for fucking everything to get that build. Except for the sub-attack, be it the, like the claws, dual claws, or the sword, whatever, or the transcendent skill, which goes above it, at least in the Descendants. Which changes one of the skills effects. Yeah, you have to grind out a bunch of catalysts and then reset your, like I said earlier, you have to regrind your, I'm not going to go over that again. Alright, I'm starting to re-go over stuff, and this thing is 30 minutes long. I counsel patience. Don't turn toxic. Although I've been a little toxic in this video, I will freely admit. Because the annoyance factor is great. Patience. The game's been out less than a month. Give them time. Give Nexon time to work on their servers, because they do need to work on their servers a bit, because I'm still seeing some server lag and yo-yoing, rubber banding when I play sometimes. I honestly think they need to buy another set of servers for it. That's, to alleviate it, I think. That's just my personal opinion. Give them time to create new content. I said, Rome was not built in a day. Patience. I mean, this guy here is fed up. He says he hasn't played it in a couple of days. I don't know how many hours he's put in. But his grind may be much like mine was for Darktide. I put over 200 hours in Darktide before the first month was out. And Darktide released on November 29th. 3 years ago now? By the time Christmas rolled around, I had hit 200 hours, and then I was at 200 plus by the 29th of December. And past and even further up 200 plus by New Year's Eve. And I spent New Year's Eve playing all goddamn night because they were playing fireworks all night in my neighborhood. All right. This has been a response video about the first Descendant, a little bit of a rant, a little bit of a dissection. Thank you for watching. If you've watched all the way through, I appreciate you. It's been your somewhat cranky neighborhood Lobo, and I will see you later.